Hello, everyone. My name is Ann Harris, and I'm your host. This is NuPath Live. Welcome. I'm going to jump right into it today because we've got a jammed agenda with two extraordinary guests. Each of them are coming to talk to us about something having to do with navigating life. Now, if those words make you want to shut down and turn off, do not, because this is important. And there's a number of reasons why this matters and why it matters wherever you are, whether you're a family or your staff person who's using it, not using it, want to use it, haven't used it. But I thought maybe as an introduction, before we bring on our first guest, Chip Carbone, um, that we just talk about where it all came from. And I know many of you have heard this story. Just bear with me. It's important because it shows that this is a product that came to us because of a need. And interestingly, we are just at the anniversary. We should have had an anniversary party. I should have mentioned it last Thursday on NuPath Live because on the 25th of February, there was an incident that occurred that forever changed the trajectory of NuPath in a way. It did for me. And I set this up. This is from a previous presentation I've done. But the weather and during that time in 2013 had been particularly snowy. This just shows a weather graph. We'd had inches and inches of snow the week before, resulting in something like 38 inches packed on the ground. And we had these programs that were going out into the community, and we didn't have the accountability structures that we needed. Staff changed the schedule. They didn't communicate it. We didn't have the system to track them, and the van disappeared. Got stuck in a snowbank. We had to get a plow, a tow truck. Tow truck couldn't get up to where they were. They'd gone into some off-road in a park. We had to get a plow to come plow them before the tow truck could pull them out. It was a mess. Add to that, then on March, and not to mention in the incident there was a damage to the vehicle, over $5,000, so that's huge liability. It was a problem for the organization, and I learned I had this strong sense of risk because I attended on March 4th. Actually, another anniversary tomorrow, 9 days ago, and I was hearing about these things that had happened in organizations where people had been injured, staff had been killed in one case, in a terrible situation, and just the loss of life, and thinking, how could we make sure that that never happens to us? And then one other thing is that I was just 165 days away from becoming the next CEO of NuPath. I was the COO at the time, and I began at that point to not sleep anymore. I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to make people safe? These things happen. Are we using every tool that we have available? Now, mind you, this is 9 years ago. Lots changed since then. And since we have not wavered. We believe that navigating life is such an important tool. It's changed in many ways since those early days. Something that began strictly or primarily as a way to keep track of and make sure that people are safe at all times has really turned into much more of an expressive and communication tool, data collection tool, ways to connect with families. And we have used money that we have raised through our very successful walk events, other generous donations we've received to do all this because we don't get paid to create apps, but yet we believe, and the board of directors has supported this fundamental commitment to something that consistent with our core values of sharing, collaboration, community, all of innovation, all of them, that we share this incredible resource with the world, and that is what we're doing now. We're going to bring Chip Carbone on in a minute, but first we're going to watch this video to give some context. It may be new for some of you from our website and Navigating Life. Let's watch that now. We believe that technology is a human right. With Navigating Life, we're able to give families a window into what is happening during a day in the life of their child.
People we support access technology here, and they do it a lot for personal use. We use it with them and for them, and it's a great tool, it's a great platform for families and parents and guardians.
I don't have a whole lot of time during the day. My work schedule is pretty intense, so it allows me to every once in a while go in and check my phone real quick. The app is on my phone. I just press the button and I can do that at my leisure anytime during the day.
Technology has provided better information for the people we support. That technology allows us as clinicians to have access to data immediately, and it allows staff to collect data directly through the technology.
With the Navigating Life app technology, we are able to collect real-time data on an hourly basis, and we are also able to get real-time feedback from our clinical team and the management, which enables us out in the field to have a more targeted approach to support the people that come to the program.
I enjoy doing what I do. I think Navigating Life is one of the best tools out there.
Using the technology of Navigating Life has been a beautiful thing. We're connecting families with their clients, and other staff are able to get excited about it. I feel like it's something that should be adapted industry-wide.
Chip Carbone, welcome to NuPath Live. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Dan?
What'd you think of that video?
I thought it was interesting. It was my first time seeing it. I loved it. You know, it really presents the technology component and especially Navigating Life well. I did like it. It was well put together. Yep.
We're going to talk technology in a minute, but let's catch up to speed on where things are from when we last left off with you. You were first introduced to our organization on July 9th of 2020. So put your brain back to where we were. No vaccines yet. Still in the middle of a lockdown, maybe just starting to get people back. We brought you on. You told us you'd come from an alternative school in Rhode Island, that you had landed here at NuPath, and in just a blink of an eye, you were in lockdown, a new manager, still learning the ropes and everything. What's this past year been like for you as you've gotten the vaccine and weathered everything else that's happened since then?
Yeah, I think the group home's doing well. I mean, during this COVID time, we did have a new resident come into the house, which was really which was not much. It was it's a challenge to always transition someone into a group home, but then coming out of COVID or in the midst of COVID, But I think it went well, and I think overall the guys are doing well. We made it through COVID for the most. I think it did get through our house once Omicron came. We all kind of had our little 2-week spell with Omicron going through the house back at the beginning of January this year. But otherwise, I think things are going well. I know the families are eager to be able to get back into the house, and I have the families that are involved with the group home that I'm at are really involved and invested and want to participate and be active in the group home. So they're really looking forward to being able to come back into the home and be involved. So that's really been the biggest struggle, or the biggest challenge is that kind of community with the family. But
that was a great update. Thank you, and I'm so glad to have you back. And as you were talking, I was just thinking about what it must have been like to have somebody move in during this past year and a half. I mean, everything is made more complicated, and it's never easy when somebody new moves into a home. So it is glad that you were able to get through that. You said it was your first time watching that video. It's probably the first time for many of our listeners or viewers. And we thank you for being a superstar when it comes to our use of technology. We're going to be talking to Veronica Sainzir in the second half today. Veronica, of course, is the person that's representing us through Waypoint Interactive, and she's going to be telling us about a lot of the exciting new features of Navigating Life. If I remember correctly, you've been described to me as a super user. I probably shouldn't say that, but we know you embrace technology. You told us in our last time together during the Unity Forum in July that the people we support use technology here. They use it for personal use. You've made it a point to kind of harness the energy of that, what it can provide. I don't know what my question is, actually. I guess just more to point that out and to see, to have you talk a little bit with us about how you see Navigating Life in particular being something that is not only useful for your program, this organization, but also beyond to the extended community.
Yeah, well, our guys used, the young men that are at Laura Lane, they're using, technology on a regular basis. Each of the young men has an iPad. You know, I think one of the things that we definitely do weekly is we access Zoom. So they're Zooming home to parents all the time. One of the nice things about navigating life is the guys actually like to get on and look at the pictures that are posted. But then in addition to that, they'll access it, with support, and we can read the comments that the parents do. So that's always nice for the guys to hear because the comments are always happy and for the most part, upbeat and letting the guys know that they see the picture and that they're so proud of them for helping with the meals for that day, or happy that they were able to do this, or look like they're having fun playing the game. And we read these comments to the guys as we're going through the navigating life. But technology in general, like I said, each of the guys has an iPad, and they access technology. We live in a technological world now, and everybody, you, me, everybody that walks around, we're all walking around with one of these. I don't think, I think nowadays when we leave our house and we don't, one of the things we check for is, glasses, wallet, and cell phone. And so technology is just a part of it. And our guys really access all components of it, including the navigating life piece, which is really fun.
Your program is distinctly different from some of our programs that have been around for 20 or more years, and that is that they're younger. Families are probably it would follow be younger. Do you think that has something to do with? I mean, obviously that's a rhetorical question because we do know that different people at different sort of demographic or age ranges may have less adoption of certain social media and that sort of thing, but all of your families engage through social media. All of your families are engaging through navigating life with the program. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's different from other programs.
Right. And you mentioned that the guys are younger, and part of being younger is they grew up with the technological stuff. Because I look at my own daughter, and she's the same age as the she's a little bit younger than the guys at the house that I'm at, but she grew up with a cell phone just like these guys did. So technology has really been part of their life and their family's life since the get-go. And I know, prior to 2000, that really wasn't the case. I mean, so the advent of this wave of technology and access to all that it has to offer has been part of their life, from day one. And I'm sure it was part of their life at the program that they came from. So yeah, the parents are very, able to access and utilize the technology.
Chip, do all your staff post sort of equal rates? I've been getting a little bit in the weeds here, but I guess part of my question is, what do you do to help your staff make sure that they're keeping the content fresh, that they're getting, pictures of different kinds of things to share? You can only take a picture of people eating breakfast so many times before you think you've seen it all. Do your staff, just instinctively sort of explore and kind of, figure out how to make that breakfast look interesting for a family? And then is it reinforced through the parents' response, or is that something you have to prompt and kind of push along?
Yeah, that's certainly something that I prompt and push along. And again, one of the things I do, because I have fairly regular family meetings. And one of the things that does come up in those meetings is the use of the navigating life. And one of the things that I try to explain to the families is when, and again, because your point is well taken. You can only see somebody vacuuming the rug so many times and eating breakfast so many times. So what I try to encourage my team to do is to take those little snapshot moments where someone might be smiling, or it's more the emotional image than it is the actual activity kind of doing stuff image. Because like you take the trash out every day. What are you going to take a picture of the guy helping with the trash every day? I mean, but you can capture somebody on a porch because we're sitting there having in a conversation, and he's got a smile on his face, and it looks like we're having a conversation because we are. And that's the kind of things that I try to encourage the parents to understand when they're looking at navigating life, that these snapshots, there's more behind these snapshots. It's not just someone sitting on a porch with a smile. We're sitting there for 20, 25 minutes engaged in conversation or playing music or something like that. So I think the parents understand that. But I think overall it is a little bit of an effort to kind of prompt the team to kind of mix it up and get a mixture of different images. But
Chip,
again, a lot of it repeats. There'll be repeats.
Chip, I just was thinking as you're talking that you were so eloquently describing the challenge of creating that emotional response to what somebody sees, or better said, to understand the emotions that are being felt at that moment by the other person. And you talked about catch. I think you said catching a smile a particular way. And it reminds me of a mother who was talking to me, and she said to me, if I could just see my daughter's face once a day.
Yeah.
Is she happy? Is she feeling sick? Is she lonely? Is she bored? I could tell by seeing her face. And I've never forgotten that, because it's that whole idea that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And for a parent to want to know their child's okay just by seeing them engaged, and how do you impart that the importance and the incredible responsibility almost of being able to share that with families. I think we need to get you on staff of Navigating Life, and I think we need to. I'm sort of kidding, sort of not. We don't really have a position right now, but we've talked about trying to find ways to use best practice in particular homes. And what I just heard you say to me just now is the most eloquent way that I've heard it expressed of what we need to be encouraging our staff to do. And do you think the experiment's successful? Do families see it in a way that they would be, let's see, what's the best way to ask this? Well, they would be disappointed if it no longer existed?
Absolutely. The parents at Laurel Lane would be incredibly disappointed if it no longer existed. And there are comments. I do get comments on the mood and the affect of the guys at the house, not just the activities. I mean, the parents want to see the guys engaged in activities, but I also get a lot of positive comments about how the picture presents the overall mood and affect. So yeah, someone having breakfast, but you know what? He looks like he's having a conversation while he's having breakfast, and he's looking like he's happy. Another guy sitting in a chair playing an iPad, but he's not just in there playing on the iPad, playing his game, which he might be doing. We're socializing in a group, and I'll capture him with a big smile on his face. Now, he's probably not smiling at something at the iPad. It's probably something that happened, another thing that something did. But yeah, the parents do recognize that. They do see that and appreciate that. And I think they would be totally disappointed if they weren't able to see their sons' faces, especially happy, smiling faces, once a day.
Chip Carbone, you are terrific, and I'm going to get you in big trouble because I've gone over by a lot of time because I've been so interested in this conversation. Will you do me a quick favor? When you're done, could you email Greg or Brett maybe 3 or 4 of your favorite pictures that describe what you've just shared, and if we can get them fast enough, just like, or a couple that represent what you think you're talking about, and maybe we can get them on at the very end after Veronica.
Yeah. Here's something. Ali, Ali. It's okay to say names, right?
Yeah.
You can cut it out. We were on the porch just having conversation one day, and he's all about the mail. And the mail woman, the mail person happened to be driving down the street. And we went out into the street, and she allowed him to just sit in that seat. And we got a picture of it. And that made his month. It certainly made his day. But I can go back in Navigating Life. That was posted.
Just show us a couple of pictures you think represent what we've been talking about here, and we'll see if we can get them on at the end, okay? Chip, thank you so much. You're so it's such an encouragement. We've got Veronica next, and she's gonna love to hear everything you said. So thanks so much for being on NuPath Live.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
I know I said it earlier, but it's true. Our next guest is Ms. Veronica Sainzir. We know and love her since she began working with us in Navigating Life. There she is. Veronica, how are you?
Great, Dan. How are you doing?
You look a little different from the last time I think I saw you.
Too much.
On NuPath Live, I mean. Well, I don't know if it's still a well-kept secret, but you were also you were here originally back in June of 21 to talk about navigating life and introduce yourself to the organization. Although you worked with us for a lot longer than that, and then you made another appearance as a prehistoric figure.
I do not know what you're talking about.
And if anybody remembers watching that episode, the horror of seeing her beautiful little cat jump up on the table to be greeted by these snarling, vicious, T-Rex, and your cat didn't care, but it was the highlight of the whole thing. You are so terrific. You are a bright spirit, a bright light in the firmament of what we do. You have had enormous success, of course, working with Waypoint Interactive, Customer Success Manager, or that title may have changed because it seems that you can't go very long without getting promoted. You are a little bit of celebrity around here. I'll do a little plug for your Brand to Brand podcast, one of the personalities on that, and not only a key facilitator for training and onboarding clients, but also #1 believer. We'll give you that title in the Navigating Life Technology. You have done so much to help the world begin to know and understand what we've got here. First of all, how are you doing? And then respond to that. It's been an amazing run, hasn't it? It's been so fun working with you.
It really has. It's interesting. You mentioned we have been working together for a while, and I'm even thinking how closely I've worked with Ann and Tiana on the NuPath team for almost 3 years now. And we were joking recently how much more frequently we needed to meet to talk about the state of the application and changes we were making. And we've gotten to such an interesting point with the technology over the past few years that we are almost more focused on just what's the next exciting thing to build. And less focused on, there's still always stuff with technology that we could improve, or bugs will crop up. And a lot of the NuPath staff has done a really great job at communicating some of that. But across the board, I'm the most excited to look at our roadmap of where we want to take Navigating Life next, what we want to build into it, what we want to do to make it better for families, easier to use for staff, more engaging, really give everyone who's touching the platform something to benefit from it. I'm excited. I feel like this is going to be our year.
Veronica, you heard Chip talk about, well, first of all, I asked you if you knew Chip before. You need to know Chip now that you've heard a little bit more from him. A newer member to the NuPath family, but that's great. Working in a program where the guys are all young, in their 22, early 20s, families of a different demographic, and how they have completely adopted and live and breathe Navigating Life. Yeah, it's exciting to see things happening in that regard. What are some thoughts that you have in hearing him, talking about the quality of what's happening, but also how he's impressing upon staff that they can use it, and how can we do some of these new developments, maybe improve their lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, Chip's kind of a celebrity to me already, even though we haven't met, because I saw him in the latest Navigating Life testimonial video. And one thing that I thought was so interesting about what he said then and kind of echoed today was this concept of using the technology with the people supported, bringing them into the fold. So you're getting photos of them even looking at the camera, smiling. And those photos are telling a story, even if it is just a photo of someone, smiling on a porch or eating or whatever it is. You're able to communicate that through a picture. And he seems to really lean into that and understand the value and the benefit that it's providing. And he seems generally to enjoy it, which is something really cool as we onboard some other customers onto the platform. That's always a question we get. Are staff going to enjoy using this? And I think Chip is just a perfect example of that. One thing he did say that I thought was really interesting was the program that's using Zoom right now to do video calling. I know it has been about a year since I've been on NuPath Live. We have had a video calling feature in the application. So when you're in messaging, for anyone who's listening, and you'll see a little video icon, you can actually click that and immediately jump into a video call and even do group video calls. So you don't really need to use Zoom. You can keep all of that in Navigating Life, which is really cool. So in that regard, like video calling, definitely some features that are on our roadmap that I think will make not only Chip, but everybody at NuPath make this a little bit more engaging to use. And I will say, everything we're building into the application comes from people who are using it, telling us what you want, what could make it better, what would make this, the greatest app in the world. We know it's already fun to use and is providing value, but hey, we're building this thing constantly. So if there's something that you want in Navigating Life, you can always submit feedback with the question mark icon. A few things coming down the road now, we're making logging in easier. We've gotten some feedback, and I don't want to put in my password so often, or it's not remembering me, or whatever it is. We're going to be making some improvements there. We're also going to be making some improvements on shared devices. So for any programs that are using maybe an iPad in one of the res programs with multiple people trying to log in, and you're using a shared account, a big part of Navigating Life is getting your name associated with what you're posting, getting the credit for that, being celebrated, getting kudos from family members, from your managers, from eventually maybe Mr. Harrison himself. So that is definitely something we want to work on, making it just easier. And then lastly, also adding in some push notifications. We've gotten some requests from families as well. Can I get a notification when there's a new post made in the group so I know to check the feed? So that's all stuff that, again, we're building as a result of feedback we've heard from you using it.
Veronica, you are so terrific, and I don't know how anybody listening right now could think otherwise, and not want to fully immerse themselves in Navigating Life if they haven't done so already. Part of the problem I think we have is engaging families wherever they are. We've got families that are in a program in a home like the one Chip runs, and that are they're eager, they're seeking it out. Others, I think, that want nothing to do with it, or they're afraid. And then there's this swath in the middle that maybe they downloaded it, a year ago when it was going, but they haven't used it since. And that goes for other areas of the organization. I was talking to one of our staff over at the Martin Center, Michelle Denny. She was telling me this just yesterday that there's been a lot more activity. They've got iPads being passed out that it sounds like they're going to start to be able to use. And she's all about it. And I was talking to her about it. She goes, well, I'm just not really sure what to do. This is for a day program where people aren't out in the community. But I think I told her, I said, I think we have such an important opportunity to begin to define the ways that if I'm a parent of my child that goes to the Martin Center, they're not out working. They don't have the privilege or the opportunity to volunteer, or if there's other reasons why they don't have that kind of an access. But those families want to see their child nonetheless. So I guess my point is there's lots of opportunities for existing groups, even within NuPath, where we've had this for 10 years, or not this, definitely not this. Talk to us about what we can do to reignite the enthusiasm, reintroduce, or look at things in fresh ways, even if we've had this technology for a long time.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Again, I think there's some of the responsibility on the folks developing it to make it easier to use and to increase that engagement. But on the people side of it, who are actually using the application, I mean, I would first say, getting families to engage with Navigating Life only encourages you to want to use it more. So, if there are family members who are in one of your programs and you're noticing they're not commenting on anything, they're not liking anything, those might be great family members to reach out to one-on-one and say, hey, Navigating Life exists. This is what you have access to. Pop in here, check it out. So we want to put as much communication as possible in Navigating Life, yes. But if someone isn't using it, that can be a one-on-one conversation where that person can be reached out to and reminded that technology exists. On the staff side, I think that one of the best ways we've seen Navigating Life be successful is by a few key folks like Chip who lean into it and inspire other people to use it in that way. So if you're someone who you're listening to this and maybe you aren't using Navigating Life as much as you should, and as you said, Dan, you have an opportunity to carve out a path of how the program you're in should be using it and what you should be posting, make that a big deal, right? Raise some alarms for it. post that content, get other staff involved, and try to inspire other people. And they'll inspire you back. If there's a day where you forget to post, maybe someone will come and remind you. So it definitely needs to be a boots on the ground effort where people are really inspiring each other. And the last thing I'll say there is just everyone who's working at NuPath has a certain level of empathy to do the work that you're doing. So to extend that empathy beyond to these family members, and just think about if this was your son or daughter or loved one, and you were working all day and you just trusted what they were doing, what would you want to see? And you're almost doing them a disservice by not sharing any of that.
Well said. We are over already, but I want to ask you this challenge as I say farewell. Tell us what's happening. What conferences are you going to be going to represent, and what states have you been talking to? And then we'll have to wrap it up.
Yeah, great. So we've had some conversations about rolling out Navigating Life with the state of Nebraska, with the state of Michigan, Oklahoma, and are having some other preliminary conversations with states like New York and Georgia as well. Across the board, people's eyes kind of light up when they see this, because there really isn't something like this in the human services industry that's actually created by and for the industry. And upcoming, we'll be at ADDP's LEAD conference in May, and very exciting, we're actually heading to Miami for Anchor's conference, Elevate, in April, bringing our Navigating Life demo setup to really bring this to more people.
We're talking about our Navigating Life, our little Navigating Life from NuPath. Veronica, I cannot think of a better person to go to Miami to take this message to the jet set down there. And thank you so much for coming on today. You are just amazing and clever, and we are so grateful for all you're doing to help us in this endeavor. So take care.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye-bye. There you have it, everybody. We are rocking and rolling, and Navigating Life is going to change this world. Be a part of that change. It's new in 22. We got this, guys. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.